Couple questions for Dana. Dana, this fight, as you said earlier in the week, is set to be the third highest gate in combat sports history. The second biggest gate you've promoted alongside Mayweather-McGregor. The top 5 gates in combat sports history come in boxing, and they come in the last 10 years. So my question to you is, why then do you want to make sweeping changes to the Muhammad Ali Reform Act that is meant to protect fighters to bring about a business model that currently has your company already paid out $375 million in antitrust lawsuits and has 2 potential pending class action lawsuits on the way as well?
The reporter asking legitimate questions to Dana White is Sean Zittel. He has his own YouTube channel under his name, and he has covered the sport of boxing for quite some time now. Here is the rest of Sean's back and forth with White.
Well, this is obviously a long discussion. If you want to talk to me about that, set up an interview. This isn't about me and my business. It's about these 2 guys on Saturday night.
My follow-up, Dana. Earlier this week, the California State Athletic Commission had a hearing about TKO trying to bring those changes to the Ali Act, and it was postponed 3 months.
Listen, I said if you want to showboat right now, set up an interview with me if this is really what you want to talk about.
It's America, baby.
If you have questions for these 2, ask them and you can set up an interview with me.
Dana, my follow-up is, if TKO can't make those changes to the Ali Act, will you still invest in the sport of boxing? Will you compete in the market?
Listen, if you want to be an asshole, let's do it in private and we can do an interview. If you want to show them, I get it.
Quick break in the action. What gets me is White saying, if you want to be an a-hole. Dana, he's a member of the press, man. He's asking a question. This is what it looks like when Dana White does not have full control of the media. Because the UFC and what they have done to the press pool is obedience. And if you step out of line, your pass gets revoked. Here, he doesn't have that control. So there are many that are just going to ask pretty simple questions. And his defensiveness is quite a tell. There's also a reason why Dana White wants less credible reporters and journalists who cover his sport and more influencers, because he demands obediency at all costs.
If you have questions for these 2 that are fighting on Saturday, that's a different story.
Fight.
This isn't a discussion to have at a press conference for these 2 that are going to fight on Saturday, 2 legends. If you want to set up an interview with me and ask me these questions, let's do it one-on-one. You can ask me anything you want.
All right, well, Terrance and Arum have a good fight.
Yeah, you have a question for these 2?
No.
No? Beat it. Go ahead, who's next?
We have a ring in the gym, buddy.
Let's pause for a second before playing more. The beat it at the end is so purely Dana. He lost the exchange, and after the reporter is already walking away because White dodged his question, he utters those 2 words. It is beyond pathetic. Let's also be clear, White wanting to change the Ali Act is very dangerous for the sport of boxing.
The Ali Act has worked very, very well, and what it's done is raise boxing purses to an unprecedented high level. And even though I'm sort of the management side that pays the purses along with other promoters, it's fair. And these fighters risk their lives and health every time they step in the ring, and they should be compensated. And unlike the UFC fighters who fight for pittance, if that happened to boxing, it would be a tragedy. So I believe that the Ali Act should stay and should not be amended.
The legendary boxing promoter Bob Arum hates what White is doing.
You have the Ali Act, and it allows you, at least in the United States, you have the Ali Act, and it allows you to audit the promoter if need be. If you want to go through that litigation, if you want to find out if you really were paid what you were owed and what you should have been paid or not. You know, again, this only applies to the main event fighters. You need something like the Ali Act to protect you if you reach those levels. If you eliminate the Ali Act, I'm telling you, we're going to go to a situation where I think we're going to risk running into the financial situation of the big UFC fighters, which, again, those guys are terrific fighters. They deserve a lot of money, and they deserve all that. But if you can't even look at what your show is generating, a show that you're a part of, a show that you're the main event in, if you're not even allowed to look at the books and see what you're generating, what you're responsible for generating, because, you got to take this person. That's it. That's your person. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Don't look at what we made. The company's a big company. We made whatever we want. And then there's the UFC blowhards, the MMA blowhards. They're like, oh, well, they get things like insurance and whatnot. But if you're stealing millions of dollars from me, I'll pay my own insurance. Give me back my millions, and I'll take my own insurance. Don't worry about it. I don't need you to pay my insurance and rob me millions of dollars. This is what I'm talking about. At those levels, we're talking about that kind of money. You need the Ali Act.
Ditto with former boxing world champion Paulie Malignaggi.
The boxing world is about to find out what a Chesterton fence, the Ali Act is, and I have seen complete silence from them. They do not know what they are up against. And all those boxers who said things like, oh, I would love for the boxing industry to be run by like it is in MMA, you're about to find out what that means. It is, what better advertisement, BC, could there be for a law that a monopoly refused to enter the space, basically,
this is dangerous.
until they could change the laws.
Yes.
Wow. The reason boxers make huge money and MMA fighters don't is because of the Muhammad Ali Boxing Reform Act. That's why. That's why. It is the thing that prevents them from having basically more than just getting big pay. It is the thing that prevents monopoly in the industry. Now, of course, that's imperfect, but it's the only thing, I should say, standing in the way. One, it requires financial transparency. The promoter has to tell the fighter, and they have to be able to, show it through an audit, all the money they're making on the event, any kind of TV rights. They have to show how much they're making and losing, the whole 9 yards. They get real financial transparency. That's the first thing. Second thing, how about this one? If you're a manager, you can't be a promoter at the same time with the same fighter. It requires, among other things, it's more than just that, but they require that breakup as well. So a promoter can't be a manager for the same guy at the same time. That's part of the codified law. 3, it requires there to be sanctioning bodies who hold the titles separately from the promoter. They have to have an independent ranking system, a reason why rankings go up and down. This, again, all this process is supposed to be transparent. Again, we all know it doesn't work exactly perfect in the world, but there is separation. The promoter does not control the title in boxing, so that's part of it.
This bill basically says, hey, a new type of promoter could be created that doesn't have to comply with the Ali Act, so long as they do certain things. So that's that's terrible for boxers, and boxers need to pay attention to this.
As we have also covered, an attorney named Patrick English wrote a very strong letter condemning what may occur. As an individual who was heavily involved in the drafting of the Professional Boxer Health and Safety Act and the Muhammad Ali Act, and who has an extensive boxing resume, I feel that I am uniquely qualified to comment on the proposed amendments to the acts.
This is a bill that overwhelmingly benefits TKO, which is the WWE UFC parent company, which, along with Turki Al-Sheikh, formed a boxing promotion, which announced last March plans to form a new boxing league. Under the current laws, the UFC model cannot exist in boxing. You can't be a manager and a promoter. You can't create your own titles. You can't have your own rankings. It's federal legislation. If it passes, the UFC model can come to boxing.
The bill does something that McCain expressly disavowed. There had been a history of coziness between certain promoters and ratings orgs. For background on this, read Jack Newfield's book. And read about the indictment and ultimate conviction of Bob Lee. Then, the IBF president. The act was intended to create, among other things, a firewall between ratings organizations and promoters. The proposed amendment destroys that firewall as to a selected entity, which will be awarding in-house championships based upon ratings, which excludes boxers not affiliated with the entity. It's a betrayal of the current act and of what John McCain and those who worked with him were trying to accomplish.
This bill, the Muhammad Ali American Boxing Revival Act, is legislation directly tailored to help TKO. TKO is so powerful that they're getting federal laws written, not necessarily with their name in mind, but with every other kind of protection that only essentially protects them. Or I should say at a bare minimum, mostly protects them. And in fact, written just for them perhaps is the more operative way to put this.
The proposed act betrays fighters by exempting what will be a single Zuffa-controlled entity from the following provisions designed to protect fighters would not be subject to the following: protection from coercive contracts and required disclosures for promoter. Hey, I appreciate you watching. Now, if you can, please do become a channel member by going to youtube.com/TYTsports and clicking the join button. If that's too much for you, you can just go to tyt.com/join to become a member. It helps all of us out here at the Young Turks and keeps our network afloat. In addition, you could follow me on my socials on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Appreciate the love. Have a great day.